Mortal Kombat's storied action figure history would continue with the sixth company to make figures based on the popular fighters in the shape of Mezco Toyz. Already known for their figures based on adult TV shows, it wouldn't be a stretch for Mezco to include Mortal Kombat under their umbrella of licenses. It's worth noting that only 2 short years before this relationship was to begin, Jazzwares was working with Mortal Kombat and had created an enormous lineup of figures. How would Mezco's MK toy line stand up against the previous iterations? Would their figures be enough to hook collectors who just had their fill with Jazzwares offerings? Today we're going to look back at all things Mezco Mortal Kombat with the 5th chapter of Mortal Kombat's action figure history. With the release of the Mortal Kombat X video game right around the corner, the initial Mezco assortments would first be announced at New York Comic Con 2014. Coming with fire, Mezco Toyz showed plans for a 6-inch figure line with the usual combatants. Mezco would make another convention appearance at Toy Fair 2015, showing off quite a bit more. Plushes, bobbleheads, a couple 12-inchers, the first 3 3/4 inch, the second 6-inch wave, and another look at 6-inch offerings. The spring and summer of 2015 would come with many updates on Mezco's line. Collectors would see updated renders of the Series 2 lineup on the day Mortal Kombat X would drop at retail, have an idea of the SDCC 2015 exclusive, and get a confirmation of the 12-inch Sub-Zero and Scorpion, with unbranded Coke can for scale. Sorry, but in my house, we're an unbranded RC Cola family. Wave 1 would be available at retail by July 2015, with Toys R Us selling the figures for $14.99, a little more expensive than the retail price for the last MK figure line. Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Raiden would make up the first 6-inch figure wave. Looking for imperfections and inaccuracies? Well, you won't find any. For the first time in MK's figure history, Mezco would create its figures using digital files pulled directly from the game's developer, NetherRealm Studios. Mortal Kombat collectors would have more than Series 1 to track down in July. At San Diego Comic-Con, convention attendees would have access to an exclusive Ice Clone Sub-Zero. Over the next month, Toys R Us stores would begin receiving a glow-in-the-dark Raiden exclusive figure. This feels familiar. Mezco would continue trying to keep collectors engaged with a little peek of the Previews Series 2 assortment, and also Previews Series 1 at retail. What is Previews, you ask? These were generally exclusive to comic book shops and web stores. You wouldn't find these at standard retail. With that said, Previews exclusives are often repainted versions of already released figures. Previews Series 1 and 2 were no exception. Bloody Scorpion, Mid-Teleportation Raiden, and Sub-Zero with some icy parts. Yet another Scorpion, this one black and gold, would be exclusive to New York Comic Con 2015. And before the holiday rush for 2015, 6-inch Series 2, Kitana, Kotal Kahn, and Quan Chi would receive their first Mortal Kombat action figures. As the holiday season ended and 2016 began, Previews Wave 2 would become available. The figures would come differently than shown in prototype images, with a much less bloody Kotal Kahn and a blander Quan Chi. Also kicking around retail were the 12-inch versions of Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Mortal Kombat's 3 3/4 inch line by Mezco, originally announced at launch February 2015, would finally reach collectors by the end of 2016. Not much to be said about these. They're basically carbon copies of the 6-inch figures, but with different style carding. As someone who was collecting these at the time of their release, I never saw the 3 3/4 inch line at retail. Not even once. If you were hoping for a third wave of 6-inch figures, you'd be disappointed. No more figures were announced or planned. And just like that, Mezco was out of the Mortal Kombat business. The company's line did not reach the level of success that it could have or should have. And with only half a dozen unique characters released in the 6-inch figure assortment, how could it? Mezco went with the classic 3 characters that always sell decently enough at retail and expanded it to characters that weren't exactly well known. This decision likely sealed the line's fate, though diehards like us probably appreciated having their first Kotal Kahn in Quan Chi. Luckily, all 6 characters fit well in size with the Jazzwares toys, making it easy to display these guys with previous MK assortments. As Mezco was wrapping up its Mortal Kombat line, Storm Collectibles would announce their imported Ultra Premium Deluxe figures with a suggested retail price of 4 times the cost that Mezco's line sold at. And only a couple years later, McFarlane would jump into the Netherrealm with figures based on Mortal Kombat 11. But we'll save those stories for the next chapters of Mortal Kombat's action figure history. Hey, thanks for watching. If you missed the earlier videos on the series, go back and check them out. If you like what we do, you can support us by grabbing yourself a deal from our eBay shop, using the Figure Collections database, and subscribing to Figure Collections for more action figure history.